Okay. Ah, little bump.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Oh, let me turn the volume down. How are y'all doing today?
Hey, minor technical adjustments. We're getting there.
A little bit. I've been having technical difficulties, especially on the last live I tried to do. But today is December 17th, 2021. And we wanted to come on and share our journey with you guys.
Yeah. You're, who are you counting? You're counting.
I was trying to count to make sure. I know that today makes us being married 5 months on today. Um we
Happy 5-month anniversary.
Yay! So we started this journey um in January of this year.
Yes.
Um
But there's more to it than that. Like I journal, so let me see if I can get my journal over here. I journal, but we're going to come to that. This was interesting. I didn't remember making the entry. Then I found it. It's interesting.
So we wanted to come on and share our testimony of us being married, and knowing that it was God, you know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
being single for years,
Both of
you
us.
know, is different things that brought us to this point individually as well as together. So,
Well, I would add to that both of us having been single, and also being single parents. You know, with sons. Of course, I have had two little boys coming into this, and that's a little bit more than me. And then she had DeAndre, so now we got three sons. We we went from 1 to 3 and 2 to 3.
yeah.
on 2 words, I do.
So we well, they have a lot of people, especially a lot of women in the church, I would say in the world too, who want to be married. Um, and I believe that we were created for companionship. That's one of the things that we were created for companionship and to be fruitful and multiply, being productive in the world as Christ has purposed us in life. So I think it's important about when you waiting on God and you really seeking, you know, that person, that addition to your life, the other half, you know, I'm not going to say that they complete you, but they in a way they do complete you because you two become one. But that don't necessarily mean that you seek out a person, because you lonely or
Right.
because you feel that you need that person in your life. um I believe that we are God put us together for his purpose, for his will, for the kingdom of God, to move forward in the kingdom, to draw people nearer to him, to do works to advance the kingdom, in all ways, in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, helping others in any way that they need help, together being an example to others, to those who may want to be married, those who want to do things the right way. Um,
There's plenty of people, obviously in the world, but even in the church, the standard is slipped for how many people in the church like just live together, and then they don't. They try to get ahead of God, you know, and even in the church. Um, and I don't know the numbers and all that. And I don't get in people's business, you know, talking to them, but I know that it's true that the church folk mirror the world folk in regards to that. I mean, I'm certain it's true.
yeah, so they have many people out there who are wanting to be married, and a lot of people that are going about it in the wrong ways. Um, the word speaks on a man finding a wife, you know, so
Yes.
he will find you. Um,
I found her, and I said, "Hey, how you doing, pretty girl?" And she's like, "I'm okay," you know. Yeah,
Goofball.
that's
So
I get accused of that.
so it was a process, you know, a process on both ends.
Yeah, yeah,
Where you being in finding yourself busy in Christ, you know, letting God occupy your time
absolutely.
instead of worrying about where your mate is, you know, being busy doing kingdom work.
You can tell me when I get to share my journal entry.
Yes. So,
It's a good one. This one is really good. And yeah, my reading glasses. I'll read it out of my journal. It's a good one. Go ahead. Go ahead.
so we have our individual stories on how we got to the point that we are at now, and how God um prepared us to meet one another, not knowing that
Not a clue.
the other person is your significant other, because it is not always who you may think it is, you know.
Not a clue.
But God is going to give you the desires of your heart in that person. So that's something that can help you when you are dating, you're in a relationship, or whatever the case is. You know what your heart's desire is, but not only that, God knows what you need. So it may not be packaged the way that you expect it to, but know that
It could be some
it'll
goofy
be
dude that you met that you just weren't surprised.
it can be it'll be confirmed. He will always confirm things with you. So River want to share an entry that he found in his journal maybe a few weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so I journal. I have a bunch of these. Let me get up to the camera there. I'm learning to work with this little camera thing here. Um, Let me see. So I journal, and I keep I keep notes from, like, if it's falls in the day like where I'm at church, then I keep notes on sermon topics. I know a lot of people do that. A lot of folks out there, you write details in journal and do this. I know that's not unique to me. However, however, there was a day on the 30th of June, 2019, that I visited a place called Victory Church. I visited. I didn't know I was going to become a disciple there, and I didn't know her yet. And I noticed her, and Dr. Nichelle that day said, "My God is awesome." and I wrote the verse. I got the verses down in here. Some it's in Spanish, some it's in English. It's funny with my journals. You have to go back and forth a little bit depending on where my brain switches. And I wrote the songs down from that day. I'm try to. Here I go. There I go. We did the songs that day. Wonders are still what you do, and this is a move. And this was June the 30th of 2019. And by the way, that day that I was there, I noticed her. I noticed her. And I noticed her because she had a beautiful singing voice. And of course, you know, you guys know me now. If you know from our church, I play music, and I've done that for a good minute. But I heard her voice, and I thought she was really pretty. I looked and I said, "Wow," you know. And for me, like I saw on the outside, I love her nose, and I love her eyes, and I love those things. Oh, I'm saying it. Really, really. Work with me here. It's our story. I saw that's the outside, right? But let me be really honest with you. There are a lot of people that have a pretty outside. Let me say it again. A lot of people that have a handsome or a pretty outside. But what I saw her doing was serving. What I heard was her singing, and the helping lead in the worship and in singing. She was in that place doing what she was doing. She's still in now and does that. That was the kind of person I was looking for. And I had said to God, if this person I meet that's going to be the person for me, they can't just be somebody that socializes at church. They got to be somebody that shows up and does something. Because I'm not going to be the one to go up and socialize. I'm going to be the one to go and serve and do something for the kingdom. All right. That's where she was. So for anybody that's out there, remember, this is June the 30th of 2019. Okay. When that entry's in there. So she's in her place, and she's in that place. She's serving. She's doing that. And that's how I noticed her. I'm going to say it again. That's how I come to notice her. But something happened in the meantime. A global pandemic. and then we weren't in live services or anything of that nature for a good long time. And so it was another year and a half until, I'd started attending at Victory. And I always noticed you. I was trying not to be too obvious. I really was. But it was another year and a half till we had started kind of talking, and then we went out, and the rest was history. She like it and put a ring on it. Oh. See, I'm stopping. I'm stopping. Yeah, I play. I'm embarrassed for I play a lot, but it wasn't like, even when we had met, it wasn't something that was like right then that happened. There was still some more time between there and then our dating, and then deciding we were going to get married, things like that. And that required some patience. Sort of like living with me must require some patience. I don't know, but I assume. But the main thing I would say is that she was not just sitting on a church pew, so to speak, waiting on God to bless her with her husband. She'd wanted to meet her husband, and she was serving God. She was busy serving God, and she stays busy serving God. And that was it for me right there. Because I knew she was really pretty. I could see her. She's like beautiful, I knew that. But again, we have a world full of handsome and pretty faces. We got a world full of them on the outside, but their character can be something entirely different than what that outside would tell you. Her character is godly character. And I'm just a character.
So, what River don't know is a couple of days ago, I found one of my entries
No way.
in my documents that I have in my
This
phone.
is new to me. I've not heard this.
And it was June of 2019.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Where I had a dream.
Wow.
If you know me, you know that I do have prophetic dreams and visions.
Believe
But
that.
in this dream, they had all kind of stuff going on in the dream. But I was told to give God 2 years and my life will change. So
Wow.
I wrote that down in my book,
Wow.
about the 2 years. So
Wow. Yeah.
it's always important to you receive a prophetic word. You can receive that word, and if you don't agree with it, you don't have to receive it just because somebody prophesied it to you. You have to know the spirit, where it came from, knowing that person. And usually, again, if you get a prophetic word, is usually a confirmation to what God has already, shared with you. But that was a time in my life I felt that my life was in shambles. And I prayed to be married. I've dated people. And it's like you know if a person is not for you, you don't have to be in communication with them for a long period of time. You can have one conversation with them and you'll know if there's somebody that you want to get to know or not. So I had that dream and I wrote that down. It was June 2019. I will have to look to see exactly what date it was.
This is the first I've heard this exactly. So I want you to know that as she's sharing this with you, she's sharing it with me. I'm like, wow, okay. Living with her, because the Bible talk about folks having visions and dreaming dreams. This one, and it rubs off because you'll be like, the first couple of times it started happening to me where I would have these dreams that were like, really,
you're going too fast. We're gonna talk about that.
Are we gonna talk about it? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
So
living with her and it rubs off. There we go. Okay.
So I didn't know exactly when he showed up to the church until a few weeks ago when he
I found the journal. Yeah.
So I didn't know who he was, and that was exactly like a month after I had the dream about my life changing. Right. So I will always, bring that word back to God. Like I knew, like 2020, I knew my life was about to change. Like I will always say, my life is about to change to myself. Different things will happen that would I just knew that my life was about to change. I didn't know who the person was going to be. I didn't know. I did date for a moment, and then I just got tired. I got to the point to where I decided, I made a choice because I knew that these other individuals were not who God had for me. Now, the thing is that we have choices. He'll give you choices. Some things you compromise with, but some things are non-negotiable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you have a choice. God will give you a choice. He'll give you options. And I'm not saying that the people that I did date were just absolutely terrible people. I'm not saying that, but I knew that they were not for me. I knew that they were not the one.
Let me. I quit dating. I quit because it was such a horrible experience. I would go out with somebody like on like one date or two, and I knew it wasn't, forever and always. I knew it wasn't the thing that the Lord had ordained for me. And I'd quit dating, and in my mind, I had said, Lord, if you don't act as my matchmaker, I'm not going to go through with any type of commitment to anybody. And I mean that.
I ain't gonna tell y'all what I said.
Yeah. If you ain't
completely opposite to what he said.
I was like, Lord, it was almost like the clouds have got to part and the light's got to shine from heaven, and I've got to hear the voice of God that sounds something like Charlton Heston from the Ten Commandments going, "This is the one for you." That was what's going to happen. Now that happened. That with her, that happened. Like it was like I knew that I knew, right? But even then, I was like, God, are you sure? Yeah, are you absolutely positive? Because I didn't. I've been in some bad relationships, and I wanted it to be something that was God ordained, that He was in the middle of all of that, and I wanted to be sure that I was sure that I was sure, and then I was,
yeah.
and am.
And it's like everything is a process. Now you go through a process of God preparing you for someone, and He's preparing that person for you, so you can't go or think that God is gonna give you somebody and you're not ready for him.
Right.
He's not going to give His child to anybody.
That's right.
So you can't expect God till you not together. You doing things that are out of order. You can't expect that you're gonna have this God-fearing man and all this stuff going on, and you are not in the position that you need to be in for that person. So
let me hit back on that point. And I said it before, but let me say it again. This is to the single women that are out there, and if you see this, she was in her position serving God. And that's when I noticed her. Catch that. That was you were serving God. And then I realized everything that you were doing. I realized you'd written 4 books, about to write the 5th, and I realized that you'd earned your PhD in biblical studies, theology, and I realized all the things that all the kingdom stuff that she had done and is doing, and I was like, my thought at that point was this: she's not really gonna like me. I'm like, I mean, in my mind, I have those doubts that come up that you get. I'm thinking, she's too pretty, and she's too smart, she's too accomplished, and I'm an old goof, and I don't know that I was nervous she wasn't gonna like me like I was starting to like her. I'm glad I was wrong.
Well, what happened was so I hey Pastor Don. So what happened was I prayed about it like I pray about everything. Every major thing that happens in my life, God would show me before. He would show me, and I ended up joining a prayer group in December of last year. Women in Waiting. That's the name of the prayer group. I ended up joining that prayer group. But But like I was saying, like all the women in that group, like we were praying for a spouse before. We were waiting, like we were not, out fornicating and doing things that we shouldn't be doing. It was
Yeah.
like a group of women, kingdom women, um
Yeah.
in the church. Pastor Don had the idea. I would say God positioned her to move forward with this idea to have a prayer group with women who are wanting to be married. And we ended up getting these books, and we started. It was Praying for Your Future Spouse, 31 Days of Praying for Your Future Spouse. It was a book that everyone in the group got. And we started reading this book December 1st. I have never had a conversation with him until maybe the second or third week in December.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a romantic thing or anything like that. It was about worship service, practice. So although I saw him when he showed up, like in 2019, I never had a conversation with him until 2020 in December.
Year and a half.
So
I noticed her. Trust me, I noticed her. Good.
So that's when we started. We only talked about music. Like I would just text him the songs that he needs to prepare for. And
it's so like she didn't know this about me. I was just a face in the crowd. You come visit, things like that. But she didn't know I was a musician, and she didn't know, like, I did to this moment. I love the music that we do at Victory. It's one of the strong things that we have. That we do strong songs that talk about Jesus and talk about how God takes care of us, God heals us. Scripture, and we have, apart from myself, we have some outstanding musicians, and I'm gonna fake it till I make it and work with everybody. But we have that's such a big part of worship, is that praise and worship. And her voice is so beautiful. I love it. And it was like that day in 2019, and I heard your voice, and I was like, wow, that's not fair. She's too pretty to have that voice too, and all that. She's not gonna like me, like if I try to talk to her, she's not gonna like me. And that, I'm being real when I say that. She knows, me, I'm being real. And I was wrong. Yes, I was wrong.
Oh my God. So, we only communicated with the songs.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened, but we was in church one day, and well, before we communicated face to face, like he would text, and like again, it was about music. We was talking about reading music. Like he read music, and I never, like, I don't know how to read music.
Yeah.
I listen to the song and hear the notes, and that's it.
Yeah.
But how I knew that he may have been interested. So, well, let me tell y'all this first.
What had happened was.
So we in a prayer group, we doing prayers, we are communicating and Zooming, and it was a place where we were able as women to communicate together our thoughts and feelings on relationships, our experiences, sharing our experiences with relationships. And we didn't have, like, there's no age limit. We'd be like, well, I'm not a spring chicken, but we have some of the baby chicks in the group too. So we have some baby chicks. in the group too. But old hens.
You are a spring chicken.
Not a spring
Young
chicken.
lady.
So
Beautiful young lady I'm married to.
so we have some baby chicks in the group too. So we would share our experiences. We have people who were, single, never been married, women who've been divorced, young women coming up in the world wanting to be married. So it's a variety of women in this group. And again, we're all kingdom women. So we want what God has for us. So what I started doing is while we were praying, they had the prayer in the book, but I also did a separate prayer for us. I did a separate prayer, and I also, I prayed for God to let me know and show me that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm going in the right direction. Just show me, manifest something to where I know that I'm doing the right thing. And I would pray that like it would be like an everyday thing. And just about every day, something would happen in regards to being married. And I documented everything that happened. I'm not able to see it right now because of how I have my devices set up. But I can recall going to the nail shop, and I would just pick a color. I never would flip over the bottle to see the name of it because I didn't care what the name of it was. I just wanted the color. And this particular day, I flipped the bottle over and it said significant other. So
significant other, me.
So
yeah, significant and other.
I documented that. I was at work at the counter, and a woman came in, one of the customers, and she just randomly started talking about wanting to be married. And I had an opportunity to share with her about the group that I was in. Maybe a day or two later, could have been the following week, another woman came in and she talked about how she never want to be married. And that was like a completely different conversation that she was having. And I was actually surprised at some of the stuff that she was saying, because she was a older woman. And she was like, I don't want to be tied down to no one man. And I was like, oh my God, okay then. So it was like different things that would, happen and manifest in my life that I journaled throughout my 31 days of journaling. And I guess we ended up talking on the phone. I don't know why. Maybe he just decided to up and call me. And we ended up talking on the phone. I remember the day because I was in the mall with my sister in JC Penney's. And he ended up calling me, and I didn't know what he wanted.
Retail therapy, we call that in our family. Retail therapy.
So he was calling, and I thought that he wanted something like dealing with music or whatever, but he was just calling. He was talking about prayer. You mentioned something about praying for him, his family, and his boys. I think that a relative had COVID or something.
Well,
and you called me about prayer.
What happened was there were some older people in the family that got the COVID virus, and it kind of went through. It kind of went through the family at that time. I didn't get it until this year.
Too fast.
Sorry, but yeah, that's sorry. Walking that back. But there were some older folks in the family that I was especially concerned about.
Yeah.
And
so that's why he ended up calling me about prayer. and he asked me to share it with the other intercessors, you know, and Dr. Nichelle about what was going on.
Mhm.
So that's how we started talking on the phone. But he didn't like approach me or anything until I guess it was like that last Sunday in church. He approached me and he was just talking, and look, it was so funny. Like, he didn't ask me out or anything. He was just found his way to get to me to talk. He was just talking and talking and talking. And look, I'm standing there talking to other people. And it's like he didn't even see me talking to other people.
No, I didn't.
He just popped up
I didn't see
and started talking. And he ended up, he just started talking. And I'm looking at the other people like, this man is rude. Like,
It's horrible. What a horrible man.
He don't see me talking to these other people. It was like they did not exist.
All I could see was you,
all.
baby. All I could see was you. That was it.
And he was talking and talking and talking.
Only had eyes for you.
And talking and talking. So I just was like, well, maybe that's just how he is. Like, I still didn't think nothing of it at that time. And 31 days of prayer ended on a Thursday.
I was nervous.
On January 3rd, the Sunday, that was Sunday. A Sunday is when he approached me again and ignored whoever it was that I was talking to at the time. And these people, they were looking and they just kind of walked away because he would not stop talking.
Let me apologize to anyone I was rude to at that time. Sorry, didn't mean to be. I didn't. I look, see. Yeah.
So he was talking and he was like, oh, let me show you this picture of me and my sons. And he ran over to the other side of the church. Mm-hmm. And I ended up started talking to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And he ran back with the picture. He was like, look at the picture. And I'm sitting there like, mm-hmm. Oh, so the first time he came talk to me, he made sure I knew that he was single. Mm-hmm. And I'm standing there like, why he keeps saying that? He was like, yeah, because I'm single. I'm like, why he keep telling me he's single? Mm-hmm. So the second time he came was the 3rd of January. And he had the picture and I was like, oh, that it was a real nice picture. And
they're handsome boys, you know. They really are.
He ended up asking me, would I go to lunch with him? So I still didn't think anything of it. I was like, I always like a free lunch.
She's not lying. That's not a lie.
I was like, okay. And we've been going to lunch ever since.
Yeah. I was nervous. I was like really nervous. And then I was like, I was nervous. And again, I apologize to anybody I may have been rude to. Didn't mean to be. Sorry about that. But you know, I knew. I knew. And I was just hoping that she liked me back. Like, so, yeah, but I knew. And then, Lord, you didn't know what you were getting into, did you?
I really didn't, because River was different.
Yeah, there are a few differences, yes.
So we're very different. We're different, and I think that was a good thing to be different. A lot of patience. That made me understand, like, you know, doing the process of being prepared to the thing about patience, being patient with people in general. So
let me jump in on this one. I I have described myself through the years as somewhat of a space cadet. You know, like I'm that guy who has, I can't tell now, but has a lot of tattoos, has played music in not just church venues, but played music in secular venues. I was a professional wrestler for a number of years, and I was an MMA fighter for a number of years. So I did those things. Some roads that were a little less traveled, and some characters, including myself, they were out there in that. And our backgrounds, because my family were Jewish, and I still have uncles that practice the Jewish religion, and my grandfather did, and things like that. So that's, that was different. It it takes patience with, because a lot of the stuff about Jennifer is that she was from a different background than I'm from. I think the same town in a different state though. Like it was like we're both small town people. So that's one thing, Like everybody knew everybody. I'm from a small town in Alabama, and she's from a small town in Louisiana. So that was a commonality. But you have to be aware that people have different upbringings, and sometimes the way I may communicate something may not be the way I say it may not be the way she's used to hearing that, and vice versa. The way, because you were socialized differently and brought up differently. But just give the other person the benefit of the doubt and go, what did you mean when you said so and so? Don't jump to a conclusion that somebody was being malicious or something. Mm-hmm. Just give them the benefit of the doubt, and that'll usually get you through those things, fairly easily.
Yeah. So, we ended up going out after church like that following Sunday.
I remember every detail.
And
every single detail of that day. I do.
I found out River is very frugal.
So, okay, here we go. This is the true story, right? There are things you hear about Jewish people, okay? There are things you hear. There are stereotypes. There's stereotypes for a reason. I don't like the word miser. I don't like the word stingy. Frugality, not cheap.
Cheap.
Cheap is a sound a bird makes. No, frugal.
Chirp is the sound a bird makes.
Frugal. Anyway, it's like frugality. And so this is a part of our discussion and our journey to where I'm from this background of like, we got pinch a penny, I'm telling you. and I'm not as good at it as my parents and my grandparents were. But it was like a thing. That was very much a part of the worldview. And let me just say this, there's a reason behind it. Because like my family was persecuted in so many different places around the world that they had to have, I won't chase this rabbit too far, but the reason there's so many Jewish people that are merchants or jewelers or things of that nature is because you had to have portable wealth. You had to have something you could put on the back of a wagon back in that day, and they did that. My family did it. Put it on the back of a wagon, put it in your pocket, and be able to take it with you, and you had your bank account in your pocket, basically, right? And there was a sense of we're not certain of our future and wherever we're sitting at, and that's where that comes from. But it's like it's okay. We're working. We work on this. We still have our budget discussions, but we're all right. We're good.
So, yes, found out River is very frugal. And I'm not.
No.
Like,
well, she don't lie. She don't lie. She tells the truth and lies not. I'm telling you.
I'm not a frugal person. So it's difficult to go shopping with River,
It's difficult to go shopping with Jennifer sometimes.
especially in the grocery store.
Oh my goodness.
I like quality.
She likes name brands.
Quality.
Name brands.
Quality.
Name brands.
Certain things I can't eat. I can't eat Surefine macaroni and cheese. Off brand. Certain off brands. Certain things you cannot buy off brand. River will buy everything off brand. So
Yes.
to stop me from getting upset in the store,
Oh,
I just go and get my own stuff that I want when he's not there.
so today I went and made grocery. Peaceful experience. I had a simple list. Like, we got shrimp. There's shrimp in there. There's chicken breast in there. Okay, don't look at me like that. I made the list. I got it. So
I hope you got me real Honey Nut Cheerios too.
I forgot the Honey Nut Cheerios.
Really?
I walked down the cereal aisle and I forgot them. I got the shrimp. I was gonna get it. I forgot. See, you see what I'm talking about. It's like I got the shrimp and the chicken breast in there, and okay, whatever, but
So,
but you're raised different ways. It's like we both ended up.
I would tell y'all a story about my mama, but I can't tell you about something I can't tell y'all. But
How bad is it?
she on here. Hello, mommy.
Oh, okay.
She on here. I don't know if my sister on here,
It can't be that bad.
but she know exactly what I'm talking about.
It can't be that bad. Okay.
My mama brought me Kellogg's cereal. Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. She didn't buy me no off-brand cereal. She didn't buy me no off-brand Pop-Tarts. So for River to come and try to give me an off-brand chili is a no. I can't do that.
She's telling the truth. She's
Certain stuff I
she's telling the truth.
Do.
I'll tell you a discussion that we ended up having.
What was that?
And I think it was the first time we'd ever really, like a lot of couples, you start dating, and it's when you're planning the wedding, doing things like that, right? And we were doing purchases for the wedding. We were doing those things, getting ready for that. I about had an aneurysm.
Let me tell you.
Oh Lord goodness, I love her. She about gave me an aneurysm.
So let me tell y'all this. So we dated. Well, he courted me.
Yes, I did.
And we didn't tell nobody.
No, but that was top
Only
secret operation.
2 people in the church knew that we were dating.
Hey, there's a reason for this. There was a reason for this.
They knew in case something happened to me, and I needed somebody to know that I was with River.
And I can tell you something, and let me tell you my side of this too. I always had a built-in, I need to call my kids, right? Don't think I didn't use that through the years.
So,
because something went wrong. We were both in that same.
So only 2 people in the church knew that we were dating. We didn't share that information with anyone.
Tell them
my
why.
sister.
Tell them why we didn't share.
And my son knew. His boys knew. My mama knew I was dating somebody or I went out with somebody, but she didn't know who.
Yeah. Guess who's coming to dinner? Me.
When we first went we went to lunch, twice?
Yep.
And then we ended up going bowling.
She won't let you win. This one right here is
I'm
a
not
bowl.
supposed to.
See this competitive, so competitive. Like
she needs to be in a league. She's really good. So she just wipes the lanes up with us, and there we are, you know.
So we went bowling, and I didn't want to go bowling by myself. Like, I was going with him and the boys.
Sierra.
DeAndre, my son, couldn't go. So I got my sister to come with me bowling. So it was me, him, the boys, and my sister. We went bowling.
Just a bunch of second place finishes.
And it was so natural. Like, everything was so natural. Like, you know how you can meet somebody and they be like standoffish. But it wasn't like that. Especially when you dating somebody with children.
Yep.
You don't know how the kids are going to respond or react to you, not knowing you. But it wasn't like I'm not talking to her, I don't know who she is. It wasn't anything like that. It was like we knew each other.
Let me chime in on this one. I was always my heart. I was always understanding. I was a package deal, right? You don't love Jesus, you can't love me. You don't love my boys, you can't love me, right? There's those things. And I knew she loved Jesus, and I knew all about that. But then I was concerned of how is she gonna feel about how the boys would feel about her, how she would feel about the boys, and they took to her like just like that, man, you know, and they told me about it, you know, afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it, and they like you, and I was like, well, I like her too. I like her, you know, and so there's a genuineness and her sense of humor. Okay, I'm a goof, right? But I'm like upfront goof. She's kind of like low key. She like low key goof. Okay, she got y'all fooled if you don't know about that. But see, I'm like high key goof. She low key goof. But but the boys really took to her. Gabriel and Miguel both really took to her, and I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. You know, it's good because that's a deal breaker. When you got kids, when you're a believer, if they're not a believer in Jesus, that's a deal breaker, right? That's a deal breaker. It isn't something where you're going to go like, oh, they'll change. I'll change them. That's a non-negotiable. And the other one that's a non-negotiable is you got you have your children. Like she had DeAndre, and I had Gabriel and Miguel, and it had to be something to where she was a package deal, I was a package deal. That's nervous because it's hard enough.
Oh my God! When he met my mom,
I love you, Mom. I love you. She's such a sweetheart.
That was funny.
Your mother's so funny. Your mama funny. I'm just telling you.
So,
tell her what you said. Come on, no, go ahead. It's okay.
I would tell y'all about this ring buying experience.
Oh no. As noted previously, we have different notions about how we spend money on things and budgets and things of that nature. And I almost had a heart attack right there in the middle of the jewelry store.
Y'all, let me tell you. Okay, so
a heart attack, I tell you, aneurysm. I mean, it was close.
The other time when I really saw how frugal Ribble was, and I was like, look.
She's using the word frugal in this video.
I don't want you to break your account or anything like that because it's not about, certain things. It's not about that. But you're going to give me something nice.
Yeah.
It's going to be nice.
And let me, from my side of this, I wanted her, hold the ring up, baby. Show the ring. There you go. I wanted to get her something nice. Now we're at a point where we need to get these two together. Go to a jeweler and get those combined, and we're going to get that done. But I wanted her to have something nice. So Yeah.
Y'all, let me tell you. River, you would have thought he had to purchase. It was awful. Let me just say that. It was awful.
That was a terrifying experience.
It was a horrible experience
Oh
for
my
me.
goodness.
It was horrible.
Oh my goodness.
And one thing I wasn't about to do is buy my own ring. That wasn't about to happen.
Yeah. And by the way, while we're discussing this, no, you weren't going to buy your own ring.
So
See,
that wasn't about to happen.
We just had to figure out.
So
we just had to figure out budget stuff.
Yeah, which that was another issue because I asked him that before we went to look.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother.
Yeah, we had a misunderstanding of that conversation.
And then his ring, y'all.
Listen, there's a story behind this. I'm gonna hold mine up. It's very simple. What's the word for that type of metal? It's
tungsten.
Tungsten. Yeah, that.
Something.
Yeah. So she had picked out something that was a lot more, I'm gonna say, flashy. It was pretty
flashy.
But she's saying
it was platinum.
But for my taste, it was. And she had it, and this was like, it was difficult for me because I was like, oh, she's thinking about me. She did this, and in my mind, I'm thinking that. But then I'm like, that's not me.
He asked me how much the ring cost.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I did.
And he flipped out.
I had another aneurysm.
I was so upset.
I was so like, I know you didn't do that. Like I had another aneurysm right there. And
it wasn't that much. He like blew a fuse.
It was too much. It was too much.
Very ridiculous.
It was too much. And I do physical work.
I think that was like our first big blow up argument.
It was because we don't really argue about stuff. But that one I was like, I can't do that. And so we ended up, and I got this, and I've got the rubber one. That's the I have a rubber one that also I can put on. But because of the type of work that I do, I work in a warehouse. I work with heavy equipment. I didn't want, and it's a real thing. I didn't want nice jewelry, anything nice I was going to put on, just to ruin it at my job, or worse yet, lose it at my job. Because you get to moving boxes around and moving big pallets, things around, and you're not careful.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you've lost a necklace, or you've lost a ring, or a watch, or something, and because it gets caught in something, and I just didn't want to do that. So it was. I love you. I'm frugal.
Y'all, I'm telling you. But yeah, that was our first big blowout.
Mm-hmm.
Heated discussion.
We got through it.
It was different other things too, like trying to get used to another person being around.
Yeah, she'd been single for a long time,
because he'd been single for so long. Yeah. He would certain things. He didn't know certain boundaries.
Yeah.
And
it was, well, let's, without TMIing this, without TMIing this, I'm not going to go into detail. I promise. Having two sons and being divorced for a number of years and being in a co-parenting relationship and things of that nature, when you're single, right? And I made some mistakes early on because there were boundaries that needed to be reset because I was now in a relationship, and this young lady who was going to become my wife, and I needed to reset those boundaries, and I made some mistakes, and that those boundaries that work when you're a single person it's just you representing you, are different than when you have a significant other. And those are things that, let me tell you how far this is going with me. You hear this. Do hear me. And people think I'm ridiculous sometimes at my job. There are women that work at my job, right? Not just the guys, the women that work at my job. If I'm sitting in the break room, and I'm not making this up, you could speak to people at my job and they will tell you. If I'm sitting in the break room and it's one of the girls I work with walks in, and I end up where I'm going to be in that break room, just me and that, that female I'm working with, I get up and leave. Nobody's going to say to me that I was acting inappropriate with somebody, You're not going to say it. I'm not going to give you the opportunity to have it said. Avoid the very appearance of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to give you the opportunity to say it. And it's the more we've gone along this idea of those boundaries you said, I've gotten to where the more that we talk, and being honest with you, the more conversations we have, the more of yes, intimacy, emotional intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
right? That I don't really discuss a lot of those big life issues with people. And folks might think that I'm standoffish or whatever now, and in all honesty, that doesn't bother me, because there are things reserved for my wife and myself. They're reserved for those conversations. That's a boundary. And you got to be careful. Jesus said something about that. I don't want to chase a rabbit, but Jesus said something. He said, "You've heard it said, don't kill somebody, right? But I'm going to say to you, don't get mad with people, right? You've heard it said, don't commit adultery. But I'm saying to you, don't look at that woman like you, or that man, whatever it might be. Don't look at them in that lustful way." It's called setting a boundary. It's an old term in Judaism. You set a boundary around the commandment. If I'm to be faithful to my wife, then I have to set those boundaries in what I speak, situations I allow myself to be in, things that I will share or not share with someone else. I have to set that boundary, even when other people are sometimes not recognizing boundaries that you know are good boundaries. Then you have to, stand your ground and keep those boundaries.
Mm-hmm. So we, it's been a journey.
Yeah. It's a good one. It's a good journey. It's a good one.
We did not check.
Nope.
We did not do anything.
Nope.
If he kissed me, it was closed mouth.
Yep.
The first time he kissed me, we went on a date and he took me to the library, and I didn't even know that you can go on the roof.
It's beautiful.
In the library.
The new library building, that's a beautiful facility. And there's literally the rose garden down there. You can look from the roof of it, and they got lounge chairs. It's a really beautiful place. The boys and I had gone over there for years, and they just love the place,
Mm-hmm.
coming over. And I had it in my head. I'm gonna be slick. I'm gonna kiss her for the first time. I'm gonna kiss her, and for all I knew, I was going to get pushed off the third floor of a building. I don't know. That didn't happen, thankfully.
So
I can't fly, so I'm glad I didn't get pushed off the building.
I knew I had, just the conversation, and we went out. The first 2 times we went out, yeah. And it was like stuff that I prayed for, that I wrote down,
yeah,
that I journaled, Like it could have been years of stuff that I prayed for that I wanted in a significant other. Um, Even to the point to where I would think something, he would say it. Like
Yeah.
I might have a worry about something, on how he feel about something, and I wouldn't even say anything to him because I didn't know, you know, if I should say this or if I shouldn't do this or whatever, trying to pace myself, trying to make sure that this is God, that God is in it, everything that we did. And like if I thought something, he would say it or do it. He asked me out the first time, like I said, it was January 3rd. Well, the morning of January 4th, I had a dream about him. And he let me cut his hair in the dream.
Yeah.
And that's like a trimming away of something off his life. That's how God showed me.
And literally, I got a haircut
that
literally.
Eventually, I did cut his hair.
Yeah.
But it was like a trimming away of like old stuff
Yeah.
off his life is what that was representing. I knew who he was. Like a couple of weeks may have passed, and I knew what he was, and knowing and being in the time that I was in, and remembering what God said to me, the different confirmations that I received, I knew who he was, but I wanted him to know who I was to him. Yeah. And he said it. He just out the blue said, I was like, okay, because I know that is God. Like if you put God first, God is going to put you first. In every aspect of your life, he's going to protect you. He's going to protect your heart. And everybody is not, they're not, what I won't say.
They're not your friend.
No. They are not,
looking out after your best interest.
But no, it's another word that I'm looking for. I don't want to use the word privileged, but they're not, I guess I can use that word privileged. Everybody don't have the privilege to be in your life.
No.
Not
at all.
Everybody don't have that right, that access to you. And it's important that who to allow certain access to your life, to your spirit. Iron sharpens iron. Like he was saying, like a person, they're gonna either pull you down, or they're going to pull you up, and you're gonna grow together. You don't need dead weight. So
let me say this, that and hopefully this is helpful for someone that's watching this. You want to, if you're a believer in Jesus, as we said before, you're a believer in Jesus, and I don't know other things. So you got kids from previous relationship, things like that. That's non-negotiable situations. You're already a child of God, and you already got a child. Now, somebody's got to be willing to work with you, moving, addition in that. Just because you meet somebody and they up in the church doesn't mean that's a person for you. Or somebody else says, I got my cousin whoever, my cousin whoever's over here, that kind of thing. That doesn't necessarily mean that. It's got to, the idea of being equally yoked isn't just being with somebody who's quote unquote church person, It's that special person that God's got prepared for you, and for whom you've been prepared. And that's something it's a faith thing because it's lonely sometimes. Like you waiting on that to happen. You're like, oh no. You get to where I got to is I give up. I'm not going to date. I'm not looking. And, really, I'll believe it when the Lord hits me in the head with a hammer and says it, and it was, but there were opportunities, because everybody, I mean, let me just say it like I'll say it. Being a single man in church. Okay, you need a single man that might. Not a single lady. Being a single man in church, and also bringing your kids to church every week, right? Something of an oddity. Women. When women are single parents and they bring their kids to church, and we're used to seeing that. Men, like I was single, but I always took them to church, right? Then a lot of the ladies thought I would be a good catch or whatever, And for me, I was always like, no, I want it. If it isn't love, if it isn't like God ordained and it's not confirmed, no, no and no and no and never. If it's something God never ordains, right? And I meant it. And it was, she's worth the wait. And I dare say I was worth the wait. But, there are things you just don't negotiate about, And I'm afraid that like so many churches that have singles ministries, how do I say this? I'm afraid that a lot of churches that have singles ministries,
Hey, Monique.
really, it's the same thing. You're not going to the bar and you're not getting drunk and getting hooked up that way, And it's not a secular dating app or it's not anything like that. But, it's still the church imitating the world sometimes. And then you end up with people who are single. They meet somebody in their singles group at their church and it's not founded right. And then they end up with another heartbreak out of that, The way that y'all's
Then you got to look at him going on a date with Sister Susie.
Let me, but I want to touch on something in a moment. Just it's kind of I know, I'm aware that sometimes there's a pink elephant in the room, that everybody sees, and that's when you're in a interracial, multiracial. I don't know what the right terminology is for all that. People say different things, whatever they say it. I'm aware that there are times that we've gone out to eat, or we've gone out to various functions, things like that, as a couple, that heads turn.
Because I'm cute. That's why they turn.
Well, because she's beautiful, obviously. But obviously. But I'm also aware that we're in a world where not everybody wishes us well,
And I don't care.
Exactly.
I don't pay attention to
Yeah.
looks. People always look when I walk in the room.
They do. Trust me, they do. I'm with her a lot. They do. Because she really.
So people attention automatically turning in our direction, that don't bother me because I don't care.
Right.
I don't care about that because they not doing nothing for me.
No. But it's from my perspective, it's something like on the lowest end of like the totem pole of things I think about, like with us, is a race issue. That's the lowest end of things I think about between us. I mean, I'm aware.
I don't think about it.
She doesn't think about it at all. So I mean, you get what I'm saying. The thing that you when at the end of the day, I'm a man and she's a woman, and we're children of God, and we became, husband and wife, and it's our family, and it's things like that. So it's not something that we're thinking, we're just, what I'm saying? But not everybody gonna wish you well for various reasons. Some people they get a little jelly, they'll be big jelly about you, and that happens. And some people can be whatever their idea about, whatever their prejudices might be. I'll say it that way.
Thank you, Miss Kimberly.
Then you can know that there's that element out there in our world, and just dismiss it because they ain't doing nothing for me.
Right. That's why I don't pay attention to
No.
that. What I wanted to say is when we like really started communicating, knowing who you are in Christ, your purpose, your walk, your destiny, knowing that who you are, how God uses you. It rubs off on the other person.
Oh yeah.
Like different things, like what happened to him. Like he would have these crazy dreams about this woman tried to seduce him. Like this happened like after he started dating. We started dating. Always something about some crazy woman. I would say a witch would try to infiltrate him in some kind of way. So I knew that it wasn't about him, that it was more so about me. So that's another thing that I had to, be aware of, that whoever God has for me would be able to handle certain situations and certain things, knowing that it comes with the territory. So that is something that you also have to think about. Is that person strong enough to walk with you with Christ, to walk in the, to handle the gift and calling and the anointing that's on your life, if they're able to pray for you. And that's one thing I like about him. We actually got this book. What is it?
Well, it's a couples
dating. It was a couples book.
Yeah.
But it's a Christian book.
Yeah.
And we got that book and we started reading it together. And
I thought as she and I were talking that that if we're gonna have the right relationship, then it's her, it's us, but it's Jesus in the middle of that. And so we got this couple study book, and it was a married couple, but at the time of the writing, and she discussed, the lady's the author of it, discusses her relationship with her husband and things like that, and how that developed.
And it has scripture in it. It goes by scripture.
Yeah.
And she talks about their relationship before they got married. Different issues that came up, So it's different chapters on different issues that will come up, and they have the scriptures there, and we will read that, and we will discuss it. And when we first started reading, we both agreed that we're gonna pray before we read it, and automatically he went into prayer. That was a shocker for me, because people would be drawn to you, and because of who you are, they will want to be in your presence, but they want to throw to the side who God is to you, who you are in the spiritual realm, your gifts, the calling, and who God purposed you to be, they want to throw that part to the side, but they still want to be in your presence. Hopefully that makes sense what I just said. And it's like, you can't want to be in my presence, but you can't accept me for who I am.
Well, let me say this, and this was in my upbringing. Then there were women who were rabbis, there were women who were cantors or music leaders, right? Women who were teachers. So I was used to, that concept that we had females who were in positions of spiritual leadership. So that wasn't a big, that for me, because of my culture coming up, then that was okay. It was, and I would, when I knew that she worked in the spirit of the prophetic was on her, and that ministry, then I would never dreamed of discouraging that and doing anything other than just encouraging it, because that's a blessing. And it's a blessing to all around her. It's a blessing to me as her husband. At the time, it's her boyfriend and her fiance, and now as her husband. And to our children, it's a blessing, that gift that she has. The only time a man, listen, the only time a man is going to be critical of a woman working in her spiritual capacity, in her spiritual calling, working in her success, is when he's insecure. Let me say it again. The only time that man going to say to you, this is for the ladies, the only time that man going to say to you, discourage you, put you down from what you're doing in the kingdom, from what you're doing in your life, your successes, is because of his insecurities. And if he's trying to do that, that ain't the man for you.
That's not the person.
That ain't the man for you. That man need to go grow up. All right? Learn how to be supportive and edifying.
Mm-hmm.
Build
encouraging.
Encouragement.
Very encouraging. Like, can't even explain it.
Well,
very encouraging. Like, whatever it is that, like me writing my book.
You're really good. You're really good. I love her book. She's like so good. Like, she puts thoughts together, and she puts in it, and she has scripture behind everything, and it's something where you can get it, and you turn pages and you read it. And she communicates what God gives her. You understand it. There are books that people write on any number of subjects, including spiritual matters, that you go like, I have no idea what they just said. I read a lot of books, but we both have a good deal of education. Her with a terminal degree, with a doctoral degree, me with a master's, and read a lot of stuff where I go like, I have no idea what they were talking about. That's not the case with her stuff. You go, she is a good, outstanding, excellent communicator. Her writing, and I love it. It's like, maybe that's a little intimidating if I ever get into writing. I'm like, because you're already so good at it. I'm gonna have to up my game then. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah. It's still on a journey. We're moving forward. Different things, issues do come up.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk through it. That's one thing that I like about him.
Yeah.
And it's one thing I like about him, but then it aggravates me too. Because like sometimes I don't want to talk about it.
No, she
leave me alone.
She shuts down. I want to talk, and she shuts down. And I'm like, look, I'm communicating. I'm doing the thing that guys don't do. I'm actually communicating my feelings and thoughts about something. And she's like,
yeah,
it's different styles of communication individuals have.
Like I would not talk, and he wants to talk about it. It's like, I don't want to talk about it right now.
Yeah.
So he might leave me alone for a few minutes, and then he'll come back and say whatever.
It's this individual. We as individuals have our way of communicating things, you know, and I mean, on an individual level, but also how were we raised, you know? There are cultural variants too. Like if you're, trust me, my background.
At another time, I'll tell y'all how River almost burnt down my kitchen. We ain't gonna talk about that now. We gonna talk about that one day.
Okay.
But
you got to clean the eyes out. You have to clean the eyes.
That ain't got nothing to
It
do
always
with-
has something to do with something like
you had a whole flame coming from the pot. So we gonna talk about that another time. We've been on here long enough.
Long enough, yeah.
But we'll come back and share.
She's even prettier in person, folks. I just want you to know that. It's like we have a saying where I'm from. Boy, you outkicked your coverage. I outkicked my coverage. I just want you to know that.
So
oh, it's true.
We'll come back and finish sharing our testimony.
Yeah.
Like I said today, we made 5 months. We made 5 months today. It's been a journey. It's been fun. Just having that person, you know, you can come home to, communicate with, that you can laugh with.
Okay, guys, let me throw something out. Guys, any guys they're looking at this? I was at the grocery store today, and I'm not doing this to brag on myself. I'm doing this to give you some advice. All right? You have a beautiful woman like this. Hold your hand up so they know you're talking. You have a beautiful woman like this in your life. God blesses you with this beautiful woman in your life. Do purposeful things to show her that you appreciate her. In the kitchen, you can't tell this from this angle, but if you check it's on Instagram, you do it with the check out her Instagram account. I buy her a fresh bouquet of flowers every week. And we put this in the kitchen as you look over in the living room, and she gets a fresh bouquet of flowers. And my reasoning is this. She may be here sometime. I'm not here. And I want her to be able to look over and know I'm thinking about her. All right? So, guys, it's not autopilot. To my men, this ain't autopilot.
So, you always, that is something that I wanted, that I never shared with anybody. I like flowers. Like random flowers, just don't have to be a certain occasion. And that's another thing that I adore. He buys me flowers, and it kills him if he can't do it.
Yeah.
Let me tell y'all something.
Yeah.
Then we gonna go.
Yeah.
So it's either every week or every other week.
Depending on how the bloom stays.
He would buy me flowers.
Yeah.
And like his personality, if he's used to doing something,
creature family.
He's very consistent in what he do.
Yes.
Seriously. Yes. I've always wanted to be consistent. Because you can start out dating somebody and they will do something. And then when they feel that they got you, they will stop. He has never stopped buying me flowers. So all my flowers are not, majority of the flowers that he brought are on my Instagram.
She hasn't put the one up from today. You want to see?
I haven't did the one from today yet, but all of them are not. I haven't posted all of them, but the majority of the flowers that he's brought, I posted them on Instagram. So that's one thing I love. Like that is something I look forward to, even though I think he loved to do it more than I love to get them. Yeah. But that's something I look forward to. I look forward to my flowers. All the flowers I didn't get over them years, I'm getting them now. And I love my flowers.
And again, I would tell this to any man you're looking at this and you're praying about you want a good godly wife, you want that helpmate as the Bible describes, you want that. Cherish them, honor them, right? Love them. And husbands, love your wives. It's written somewhere in the book. It's Christ loved the church, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it for me, I'm like, real talk. I don't want her to ever forget how much I love her. I don't want to forget to show it, to say it, because guess what, fellas? I'm talking to men right now, okay? Is it okay? Talking to some of the men that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't show her and tell her, guess what? Some imposter going to show up and show and tell. Don't play. Don't play.
Gonna be left in the dust.
Mm-hmm. Don't play. Just it's not enough. It's not enough. Just she knows. No, display it. As men, sometimes sharing our emotions, sharing our feelings, is not the easiest things to do.
Very emotional.
Yeah. I'm very. Yeah.
He's a clingy type.
I am. And
I don't want to be touched all the time.
No.
Look, one time he said it was like the case of the body snatcher.
Yeah.
I was wondering what happened to you.
Well, she, and I'm learning. She needed some her time, separate. She needed to just not be okay. Don't be up on me. So I'm gonna go read a book. I'm gonna do whatever. I'm getting better about that. I'll read a book. I'll go look. I'll go play a video game on my phone. I'll do something. And go your time. But she goes. She has her moments where it's like later, and I'm like later. Okay, okay.
Well, guys, it's been fun. We'll come back on one day sometime.
Yep.
And we'll do another testimonial on our journey.
Thanks for letting us share. I enjoy.
We'll tell y'all about the wedding part.
Yeah.
How River says he had the most expensive suit on he's ever had.
And it's true.
Frugal, I'm telling y'all.
And it's true.
Frugal.
And it was a nice suit. If you're at the wedding, you have a nice suit. I'm a hush, but we'll get back to that. That's a nice suit.
Bye, y'all.